Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, guys. Welcome to Otaku Chris is Talking, and this is your weekly anime review for Youjo Senki, and this is for episode 3. I know this week I've already done a Youjo Senki review, but that was for episode 2, and it's normally because I'm just a little bit late, and finally I'm actually on fucking time, so that's why it's, you know what, fuck it, let's just go straight into it. Now, if you're new to my channel, do subscribe, as I make regular reviews, as well as manga, anime, otaku stuff, and it'd be kind of nice to see you guys join me on my journey. If my face looks kind of puffy, it's because I have a toothache or infection, who the fuck knows, and if I do end up crying at any point, you know why. Alright, so episode 3. I like this episode because it kind of ties in all the madness that's been happening in the first episode. And in the first episode, people didn't really like it because they didn't get what was going on. A lot of people complained there wasn't that much characterization or plot development, and it was kind of like a fucking mess, basically. But here's the thing, sometimes you gotta understand that, like, people like to start their stories differently. Sometimes they won't start with once upon a time. It might just throw you into the trenches, and then it's up to you to fucking figure out what the hell's going on. And that's how this series kind of started, because episode 2 showed you the backstory of who the fuck Tanya was prior, before the reincarnation and everything like that. So definitely do check out my review for that if you've seen episode 2 and want to see my review for that. This episode focuses on Tanya leading up to the events of episode 1, and with the jewel power, with the jewel and the power that it gave her, and how it was activated, and the reasons of why in episode 1 she was like kind of like praising God and praying to God, even though in episode 1 and episode 2 she seems very evil, and it's kind of like her personality and how she was acting in episode 1 really clashed, and I think that's what gave a lot of people a lot of confusion. But for that, this is why episode 3 came out. Now this episode, it basically kind of ties everything together. So basically Tanya was fucking tricked. Like, Being X gave no fucks. Being X was like, you know what, I've done 10 years of watching over your clock, and literally, normally I wouldn't meddle with what's going on, but for crying out loud, how are you still so evil? Why have you not grown? I loved the conversation between herself and Being X, and how even though it's been 10 years and she's been reincarnated, she still remembers that conversation. And fuck my life, man, she really gave no fucks. Like, literally, Being X was like, I will give you a miracle, and people used to pray to God, people used to look up to God, and you're still not even caring. And she's all like, you know what, I don't care. Miracles, they're nothing. I actually wrote down what her quote was. What she said in her quote. She was like, miracles are glorious misunderstandings. Fuck my life, that's pretty crazy. And even when Being X was like, I'll give you a miracle, she was like, what, you're gonna part the sea? Where you're gonna turn water to wine? Fucking legendary. I love that. At the beginning of this episode, we first get to see Tanya like testing out this jewel that the doctor gave her, and the jewel is the one that we see in episode 1, like the thing that she prays to, that she holds before she goes all crazy. And you find out that that jewel basically is kind of like an amplifier, and it doesn't really work for everyone. The jewel only works, well, it didn't even work for her at the beginning. Literally, it was kind of malfunctioning, but the potential of the jewel and her magical power, which they were aware of from birth, which is what they've been explaining prior to the entrance of the jewel, is really high. So the doctor was like, you know what, if her magical power is that high, then she may be the only mage who may be able to use the jewel if she can control her magical power and the jewel. So it's kind of crazy. So at the beginning you see her just trying it, and the jewel's fucking failing, it's blowing up. And it's interesting because of how the series started with her being so powerful. It was kind of interesting to see her failing and being weak, and kind of just basically just not who she was in episode 1. And that's why I liked this episode, because it led to a form of character development that was not the generic way of, this person's weak and this is the person how they get A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now I started at D, then it went C, then A, B, and you know what, as long as it gets to Z at the very end, that is all good for me, because I'm really liking this series. So basically, after the jewel fails over and over again, and then she's like, you know what, this jewel obviously is going to fuck up. The jewel was called the Elenium Type 95, and it supposed to be able to take her to 18,000 feet or meet. I'm not too sure. If you could just let me know if you guys watched it as well. Hopefully you watched it, that's why you're watching this review. Whether it was meters or feet, I didn't really make my fucking notes, stupid Chris. But yeah, so put 18,000, whereas in the normal jewels that all the other soldiers have in the like artillery and shit normally only takes them up to 6,000. So it lets her go up to 3 times higher up than what the normal people, what the normal soldiers can do, if it works. And it failed over and over and over and over and over again. And that's to the point of where she was like, I've had enough of this, doctor. Obviously this is a fuck up. You don't even have fucking like clarification that this will even work. I've had enough. You know what, I want to be moved. I want to be moved to a different department, to a different part of the army. I don't know what the fucking phrase is, but she wanted that. So basically like, so it went that way. And like, I was like, oh, well, okay. I thought that you had the powers. I thought that it works. Like, what's going on here? Why are you blowing up? Why are you leaving? I don't really understand what's going on. That's when BNX comes in, and then she has the whole chit chat with BNX, and BNX is like, you are taking things way too easy, young girl, young guy, young man. I don't know. Fuck it. And from that, BNX is like, you gonna learn today. You gonna learn today. And BNX is like, fuck you. Here's this. And basically gives her the miracle. The day kind of restarts, but she doesn't really understand that the day restart. I kind of clocked that because not like a restart, but the next day came up, but yet she already went straight back onto training, even though she was supposed to be leaving. So I was like, what's kind of going on here? But anyways, that was the only part where I was like, that loophole, plot hole, like what's anyways, so yeah, so she goes back out there and she tries it again, and then and literally it kind of fails again, and right before she blows up, she's like, it's not working, and the doctor goes all crazy. He's like, oh, like God came to me in a vision, and what was it? If God wills it. I'm gonna title this video, If God wills it. And he's like, oh, if God wills it, it will work, blah blah blah. And he became some crazy heretic, and it was like, I was like, what the fuck? And he looked like a mad scientist anyway, but apparently he's a mad atheist scientist. And ever since that whole God came to him and gave him a miracle, like suddenly he's like some super believer, and he's all doing his crazy laugh with his monocle and his squinty eye, like generic mad scientist kind of look. And she's like, what the fuck? And then she's literally about to die. Boom, the whole slow-mo thing that happened in episode 2 when you find when BNX first came onto the scene happens again, which is one of my favorite scenes. I love it when it does that shit. And this time she's like, cool, you're here again. So it's like, this was the third time, because the second time happened in the same episode earlier on, but it doesn't matter. And BNX is like, all right, here's something. All right, the jewel will work if you pray to God. If you don't pray to God, if you don't believe in God, then it won't work and you will self-destruct. So how about that? If you want to survive and if you want to use your maximum potential, if you want to have this miracle, then you must pray. And then like, she didn't even get to pray. All you see is like her kind of like subconsciously or doing it just for the sake of it, and then her eyes go all yellow, and then you kind of see her power up and does that whole like wheel cogs thing that happened from JoJo Bizarre Adventure with Dio and shit, just turning and whatnot. I was like, ooh, that part of it really looked nice. I love the animation there. Talking about the animation is super fluid. I really like that. I need to check out what studio is doing it. If you guys remember what studio it is, let me know. I know it's not Madhouse, because Madhouse are doing Aka 13. I think it's Aka 13. Doesn't matter. But yeah. So I want to know, like, I might look into what studio it is. I might leave it in the fucking annotations or something. I don't know. Or you guys can just do it for me, because I'm about to do my Exorcist review. So you guys can definitely stick around for that too. Yeah, this was pretty cool, because we now get to see why and how she is as powerful, or she gets as powerful as she was in episode 1, and what allows her to do these crazy things. It explains the height that she got to in episode 1, where it's kind of like, why should we care or know what you guys are talking about? So those are the questions that were in episode 1 got answered in episode 3, which is supposedly supposed to happen, but I think people just wanted the answers straight away, which is why I said in my first review, I like this series. This is a pretty good series. It is it's not going the usual way of storytelling or character development or world building, but it's doing it bit by bit. Still not that much world building, but maybe from the fact that at the end of it she ended up being promoted, and she believes that she's going to be going to the capital now, where life is going to be all fucking roses and pancakes and teas and coffees and shit. It's not going to be. It's not going to be. We know that. Yeah, so she's basically definitely going to be fucked over. And There could be a bit of conspiracy about her. People are talking about her and asking why she's a monster and stuff like that. And like, yeah, so the higher ups are definitely looking over her. And I think she's going to probably be used for something very dangerous. I don't think Being X put her into this world to give her powers and let things be super easy for her. Obviously, we know this because Being X bloody strapped a bomb to her chest. And as Tanya said herself, Being X cheated. Of course, I'm going to pray to God if I'm about to die. And that kind of defeats the whole objective. But yeah, this is a pretty cool episode. I'll give this episode like a 7.5 to an 8. I'm very interested to see where it goes. For those people who were saying, oh, this is full of action, I think that was just to show how powerful she was in episode 1, so that as these episodes went on, it makes sense and ties it through and kind of makes it a better storytelling overall. But if you watch episode 1 by itself, it won't really make sense. It's not a standalone episode, but I think it's one of those ones where this was from a novel, so novels are normally done differently to mangas. And yeah, anyways, that's about that. I hope you guys had a great time. What the fuck do I mean had a great time? I don't know. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, enjoyed this review, and return for more. That's all I ask for. And thumbs up, maybe? Who knows? If you want more videos from myself, thumbs up. So pudgy. If you don't, fuck me. In my what review I did yesterday, Boku no Hero Academia yesterday, yeah, I had to end up cutting it at some point because I was in pain. Oh, all right. Anyways, I'm waffling on. So have a great day. Otaku Chris is talking. Subscribe for more from myself right there. Peace.